All right, this module looks at text navigation, and by the end of the module you'll be able to get around your documents easier without going out to the mouse to set your insertion point, and you'll also be able to select text with the keyboard as well. But before we do that, just pick up on something, just kind of continuing the thought that started in the previous module about inserting text. There's another way that I didn't get to in the previous module that you can insert text. The default way is that when you have your insertion point and you type something like insert, it will be inserted where that cursor is in the document. But you can change that, of course, and overtype what's there, and you can do that by using this status bar down here. So if we give the status bar that I introduced in the previous chapter, if we give this a right click, there is something called overtype. And if I have that selected there, you see that this insert is there in the status bar, so that becomes a toggle. So if I toggle it to overtype with a click, and then insert new, anything that I start typing will be inserted over the top of what is already there. So again, you have the option of inserting text or overtyping, as you've just seen. Now, as far as text navigation, this is an important skill that you'll have that will keep you a lot more efficient and keep you having to go to the mouse every time you want to change that insertion point. And that is to learn to use the arrow keys, and especially in conjunction with the control keys. This, by the way, is nothing new, so if you've used these kind of shortcuts before, you could probably, in all safety, skip the rest of the module, because you do things like use the arrow keys to go back and forth and up and down between lines and text. If I hold down the control key, it makes it a little more faster because I go to the beginning of words in a line, and if I use the up and down with the control key, I'll go right from paragraph to paragraph. So rather than going down and up between two different lines, I hold down the control key and I'll go boom right to the top of the next paragraph, which is right there in the document that I've created. You can also use the shift key and select text. So if I wanted to start typing new stuff here, I could with the select after I do the shift and the arrow keys. If I hold down shift control at the same time, I can select multiple words at once. The last thing I want to show you here as we're dealing with our text navigation here is the home key, which puts me at the beginning of the line, and the end key, which puts me immediately to the end of a line. If I use that in conjunction with the control key, again, it speeds up document navigation by doing this. If I hold down control key and home, it takes me to the very beginning of the document, the very first insertion point that's available in the document. If I do control and end, it takes me to the very end of my document, no matter how big that document is.